What's up, beautiful people? I'm here in Porto, and this is going to be another one of those unscripted YouTube videos. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my travel experience and how this kind of relates to a few epiphanies about business. So here's the thing. I hadn't really taken kind of a travel vacation in quite a while. Maybe my last one was like about a year ago. So thought that I was going to be like super excited, super pumped to be traveling in Europe again for about 2 weeks because I was coming here to do kind of a half marathon. It's a friend's birthday, and we figured, you know what, why not make a kind of a little trip out of it, go to a few different places. Long story short, my expectation was like, oh, I'm going to have a lot of fun because I used to always love traveling, and I started my business about 5 years ago with the dream that, okay, if I start an online business, I can be funding my travel and all that stuff, right? But then when I actually came here, a different reality hit me. And kind of the point number one is I realized that I have grown and I have changed as a person. And I no longer really care about it as much as I did, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And it's a shock to me because it's like, dang, I worked to get to this point only to realize like, oh shit, I have changed. And it's no longer that exciting to me anymore. It feels very boring, like to go see all that touristy stuff, to go to different cities and all that. And I realized like, okay, my younger self absolutely loved it. Good for him. But the person who I am today just doesn't care about it anymore. So I guess as a founder, you also have to understand like what goals did you initially set off with? Are they still aligned with what you want to do? And sometimes we get to that mountaintop that we've been wanting to climb for a little while, only to realize like, okay, it's really not that big of a deal. It's really not that incredible. What's next? Because from the base of the mountain to the top of the mountain, of course, it's a little bit of a journey. And through that journey, you learn a lot of lessons about yourself, about the journey, and you change. Your values change. Your perspective changes for sure. And it always comes back to like, who am I now? Because the person all the way at the bottom, at the base of that mountain, was a whole different person. He or she said, I want to do this for X reason. And by the time you get there, that X reason may no longer feel relevant. So that's kind of the crazy thing. And again, I'm going to be reading off some notes directly from my journal. Point number 2 is about breaking free from constraints. The interesting part about traveling is you always see human beings in a different light because you're actually observing human beings in the physical form. And for a lot of us founders, like we're always working behind our desks. So we don't actually get to observe as many humans as we would like if we actually just spend a lot of times outdoors. Interesting thing is, I always see people that live within social constructs or social expectations. It's like this glass box that they find themselves trapped within. And you can always see like people are like so timid and so fearful and so afraid when they're in like new spaces. And their personality is also kind of like that in their daily regular lives. And it's kind of like they just want to shrink, not attract any attention. And they want to be safe, right? They don't want to say like, oh, get out of my way, you're standing in my way. It's just like, oh, like this. And they're like cowering. And it makes you think that, okay, great. Am I being like that person? How do I act? And so you start to really recognize like, okay, am I also that person in my business? Am I also that person in my life? Because the true way to live is to be freaking authentic. And the only way to be authentic is to break that fucking glass box. Do not live within that fucking social constructions, that little social expectations, right? If you're like, oh, I just want to like chill in the aisle of the plane where like the flight attendants hang out and go chill with them. No, I'm not supposed to do that. Yet I do that. And I always catch myself if a little voice comes in and says like, oh, no, that's not good. That's a little too uncomfortable. And I'm like, bingo, that's exactly what we need to do. Because I am training myself. I don't want to catch myself in business situations where I'm like, well, I should be doing X, but some other voice is saying, no, you can't. It's not appropriate. It's not right. Like, hey, if I go to some sort of a business event and it's the networking opportunity of a lifetime, and the person is like occupied or busy, like, no, I want to go introduce myself. So again, the lesson for you is, as a founder, catch yourself. Are you living and operating within a glass box? What kind of expectations have been conditioned into you? What kind of limiting beliefs are you operating your company with? And I think this is the fascinating part, that sometimes a new perspective while traveling can bring out, where you realize like, okay, maybe I should be a little bit more bold and a little bit more assertive and really direct and go after what I truly want. And I would really say, like, some of the best founders, they are not playing by the rules. Like, if we look at Richard Branson, that dude is not playing by any conventional rules. And that's what makes him kind of fascinating. So sometimes we need to inject that little bit of fun personality into our businesses as well as founders. And the point number 3 that I really want to talk about is like all about gaining perspective, right? You don't want to be all hung up on one side of the spectrum or another side. So let me explain. Life is a spectrum, right? On one side, let's just say you have liberals, conservatives. On one side, you might have like party goers, like, ooh. On the other side is just like, oh, just hard work, right? We see this dichotomy in all aspects of life and business. And the biggest thing that I've learned is you don't ever want to find yourself stuck on one end of the spectrum. This was kind of taught to me by one of my former mentors, Sam Ovens. Before he was working on school, he obviously ran consulting.com. And when I was part of his mastermind, he really emphasized that you don't ever want to get caught on one side of the spectrum, because it only limits your perspective, because you don't get to understand what the other side is. Like, maybe the other side works for you even better. Try it out. If you never try it, how would you know? He famously had one person in the mastermind who was a vegan, told him, go eat meat. And there was a person that was like allergic to cats and said like, you're gonna go get a cat. Like, basically the exercise was to get out of your comfort bubble, get out of your comfort zone. And I think so many of us founders and people in general avoid that aspect of getting outside of the comfort bubble. Like, we've been the same person we were like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And we're just like, no, I like to do things this way. I'm always going to stick to it. And it's just like, but why? Have you tried the other way? If you've tried the other way and you still like it your own way, awesome, stick to it. But if you never try, you never know. When I was here in Europe, I was in Budapest, party till 5 a.m. And honestly, not that much fun afterwards. The drinking, the partying till 5 a.m., amazing fun. But then I was laying in bed with a hangover for literally 12 hours. Like, I was in bed from 5 a.m. all the way next day till 5 p.m. It was pretty terrible. But that made me realize, like, you know what? I actually do like my structure. I like my workouts. I like having a little bit of routine and discipline. I like having good sleep, good nutrition. I now know that I've tried the other side and it's really not all of that for me. So great. Now, how does this apply to you and your business? Well, I hear this all the freaking time. People debating about little things like, is TikTok ads gonna crush it with ROAS or Meta? Or is it the agency model or the consulting model that's better? Should we do low ticket or high ticket? Well, freaking try it, because you could sit there for an eternity, talk to different people, gather information, do your research for 6 months, maybe even 6 years, and you will never know until you go try it yourself. I personally tried that agency model. I tried the consulting model. I freaking love the consulting model. Agency life really isn't for me. I don't know if I'll do it again. But here's the thing. You also have to kind of try out different things. And the only way you will really learn and adapt is by trying. Because when you try, you realize really quickly, this is either for me, it's a hell yes, or quickly, this is a hell no. Point number 4 that I really want to make is, don't get stuck on what you already committed to. For example, this is very important that you should be able to adapt and pivot when you don't like it. Like, when you're traveling, you go to a city, like I was in Lisbon and I was just like, well, last time I was here in Lisbon, it was beautiful, it was sunny, it's kind of rainy and gloomy. I'm not really feeling it. Okay, let's bounce. let's get out of here, do something else. So I think sometimes as business people, we also have to understand that, okay, if you don't like something, you have the option, the choice to do something else, to go with a different solution. I think a lot of people just get hung up on this sunk cost bias, like, well, we already committed to this thing. We're already kind of here. We paid for whatever. It's like, no, change. And the fifth thing that I'm going to talk about is like, I realized that money is amazing. It's literally I don't know, it's like a gateway to actual freedom. And that's what makes me respect money. Again, going back to point number one, which is like, I started in business so I could have money. It was a little bit of a mind fuck to visit the same city with a 3-year or 4-year gap. Like I'm talking about Lisbon, and I have exponentially more money. And I remember my younger self always thought about like, oh, when I'm able to actually visit any restaurant that I like and pay for whatever or do whatever activities, that'd be freaking great. Because back in the day, like, you know, I used to really have to budget everything, and I traveled pretty cheap because I wasn't making that much. And now that I have money, crazy thing is, I don't actually care about those restaurants anymore. I don't want to eat at those places. I'm just kind of like, whatever, which is definitely a mind fuck. Going back to my point one, which is like, well, I worked for it. Now that I'm here, I don't really care about it. But the other part of money that I really love is it is actually just a ticket for convenience. Example, when we were picking up our bibs at the Marathon Expo, there was a huge line because 20,000 people signed up for this marathon. So the lines were out the gates, literally. And I just walked up to the first person in the line and I said, hey, can I stand with you? I'll give you 10 euros if I just can stand and go in with you as your friend. Paid, boom, done. So that saved me, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. The person looked shocked, like, well, we only waited for like 20 minutes. I'm like, no, I don't want to waste 20 minutes of my life standing here in this line. I'll pay for that. Airline wants to charge me for extra baggage? Sure, charge it. I go wherever, I do whatever, I can pay for whatever, which is amazing and makes me realize like, yeah, money definitely is an amazing tool. It makes me stress-free, to be honest, because I was able to bounce from Lisbon to Porto. I didn't have any accommodations, hotels, or Airbnb. I was just like, well, I'll just get on the train. And on the train, like there's Wi-Fi, I'll figure out where I want to go, whatever the price is. And here I am in Porto in this place. So that's the thing. You can literally live life stress-free, which makes me wonder, how is life going to look like and business going to look like when I 10x my income in the next few years? We will see. That's going to be another video. But anyways, to kind of sum up this video, what I want to say is don't rush any aspect of your life or business. Looking back, my younger self that really loved traveling, I wish I allowed that person to just travel. Go. It's okay. Just have fun. Enjoy. You trying to work really, really hard right now so you can enjoy the rewards of traveling more later on. I mean, dude, your values will change. You're not going to care about this thing anymore. Same thing for you. It's like, what are you holding off on right now? Telling yourself, well, when I work harder and I have more funds or I have more freedom, I will then have X, right? That logic, that conditional logic. When I have X, I will enjoy Y more. No, enjoy it right now, because there's Z condition that you're forgetting about, which is my values will change. I as a person will change, and you will never feel the same way about what you care about right now. So go for it. Live within your season of life and business. Whatever you want to do it fully. Commit to it fully. Allow yourself to live life. Change when you realize that you have changed. Try the other side of the spectrum and always gain perspective from different viewpoints, and do not ever find yourself in that glass box. If you find yourself in a glass box, fucking break that box, get out there and apply this exact same thing in your life, in your business. So hopefully this video helps you. Go out there, live your authentic life, and create an aligned business. I'll see you in the next one.